an original MCM production.
Our speaker today is County Executive Chris Abele. Chris has served as County Executive since April of 2011. I know all of you are well aware of Chris's extensive involvement in the business and philanthropic communities here in Milwaukee, so there's really no need to go into greater detail on that. However, what I would like to point out is that Chris is one of those rare political leaders who actually does what he says he is going to do. And he's also one of those even rarer political leaders who sincerely tries to reach across the aisle and who seeks out solutions to vexing public policy issues without regard to political party labels or ideology. As such, Chris has become a major player in what the Business Journal calls the Milwaukee Renaissance that our region is now experiencing. And he will talk to us today about this continuing renaissance and his vision for Milwaukee County. One side note I would like to offer about Chris is his great affinity for Shakespeare, having served on the Royal Shakespeare Company board and been a strong supporter of Shakespeare here in Milwaukee and throughout the U.S. I plan to offer an extended soliloquy from Shakespeare, but upon further review of the very strict limits and admonitions that are imposed upon those who introduce speakers, I determined that the most appropriate quote, which I think President Dan could use as a mantra for all Rotary speaker introductions, is simply this: brevity is the soul of wit. Let's give a warm Rotary welcome to Chris Abele.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I've known Jim a long time, and we have this a bit of a developing tradition of trading Shakespeare jokes. We were both present to speak at let's see, I think it was the inauguration of a judge that we're both friends with, and alluding to this, I said sometimes this habit gets us into trouble with people, or at least confusing situations. The example I gave is I had been in a meeting where there were two very contentious and contrarian sides, and I said, you know, we really need to get away from this sort of Yorks Lancasters thing and get kind of to a Tudor thing. And I got a lot of puzzled looks. I said, you know, it's Henry VI's play. And they said, oh, that's a Shakespeare play? It's three plays, actually, as it turns out. But it's still, it's fun. So, as I say every time I speak at Rotary, one of the reasons I always enjoy the privilege is because I firmly believe that the most priceless, beautiful, and exquisite thing in American society is the volunteer ethic and the charitable impulse. And there is no organization in the country, not close, that more embodies that than Rotary, which is why, no coincidence, there is no organization to which I have presented in the last 5 years more often than Rotary, and why I know an awful lot of you. And I'll go further. I heard the mention of the River Revitalization Foundation, a great nonprofit that was founded by, wait for it, Rotary. I know it because I served on the board with Jim. We both had the privilege of chairing that board, and I know because having served on a lot of groups and seeing a lot of you on a lot of nonprofit boards, it isn't just about lunches and it isn't just about celebrating the idea. It's about rolling up your sleeves and giving back. It's active citizenship in the best sense. So I like speaking at Rotary. Rotary also, as many of you know, has had a lot of intersections with the county, particularly in parks and land trust. Obviously, with their River Revitalization Foundation, anybody who strolls along the Milwaukee River has probably had the experience of being on a path and looking around and realizing all you see are trees and the natural environment, and all you hear is the river, birds and trees, and wind in the leaves, and you're in the middle of a city. If somebody dropped you off there and said, hey, you're in the middle of Milwaukee, you wouldn't believe it. That doesn't happen by accident. That happened because of a lot of active, very hard work over years and years to preserve that land, and a lot of you were involved, and it wouldn't have happened without Rotary's leadership. That's not a small thing, that's a big thing. That's the sort of thing that years from now, 100 years from now, people will be enjoying an impact that you all made, and that's one impact. More recently, Johnson's Park, that's also in our system. Rotarians raised almost $1.2 million for the redo, which works really well with the last 3 years of investments we've made into the park system. So again, it's always a privilege. Every year, there's always been a few things that have happened that I completely didn't expect. One year, it was a courthouse fire. I got a phone call on a Sunday in the summer saying, hey, how's the weekend going? Great, it's good. Hey, so the courthouse is on fire. Okay. And it led to another call later that day, actually. It turned out that Governor Walker had been scheduled for jury duty that Monday. So I got to call his office and say, hey, good news, bad news. Good news, you can clear off your Monday. You're good. You will not have to come to the courthouse. Bad news, because it's on fire. So this year, in a less damaging, unexpected, and unpredicted development, there was the Milwaukee Lion. I found the Milwaukee Lion whole news stream endlessly entertaining. But I've got to say, when I first heard the news that, hey, there's a lion on the loose in the city, I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I called our zoo director, Chuck Wickenhauser, great guy, and I said, Chuck, I don't mean to be that guy, but this isn't one of ours, right? And there's this silence for a while, during which I'm imagining Chuck, and somebody going to a pen and going, yeah, no, it's not one of ours. Okay, good. I mean, I was still concerned about the lion, don't get me wrong. But yeah, you never know. And those are the things that keep things interesting. So every year I've been in office, I've had the privilege of talking about the budget to this group. And every year it's been a little bit more enjoyable because the story's been a little bit better to tell. In the Department of Unexpected issues that were challenging, some of you may recall, we had a report from our consultants, Buck, that the county has used for some time. And there are actuaries, they tell us, here's how much you need to contribute toward the pension every year. They let us know, hey, oops, we forgot to include a cost of a living adjustment for the last couple of years, where that's the moment where we all hit the pause button and ask ourselves, okay, and we are paying you an enormous amount of money to do what? So the long and short of it is we're going to have to pay for the next couple of years about $20 million a year more to make up for it. Good news, that's all money that has to go into the pension anyway. Good news, part of the increase is also that instead of amortizing over 30 years, we're amortizing over 20. It'll be fully funded sooner. Much better news, the reason we were able to cover that in the next 2 years is because, unlike 5 years ago, one of the things I've done is, and we worked hard to do, is built up a debt reserve fund. We didn't have any meaningful debt reserve fund when I was elected. We had a little over $50 million. So this is exactly what that sort of reserve fund is for. So we were able to resolve that, and over the next 2 years, we'll be able to get right and get back on schedule for the payment and still have over $10 million left in the debt reserve, and that assumes zero operating surplus in the next 2 years, which is notable because we have yet to not have an operating surplus, and that's how we've been building back up the debt reserve. But I like very conservative assumptions, so I'm assuming zero, and we'll still have over 10. Also, the other challenge that we had to face is a $4 million a year potential hole in shared revenue because of a last-minute change on the arena bill. When the arena bill was first passed, the county's commitment is $4 million a year for 20 years, and that was matched by the increased revenue source of participating in the state debt collection program. The debt collection program is something that this state put in place during the Doyle administration about 9 years ago. It was modeled on the successful program that was similar in Minnesota, and the idea is that the state has tools to collect debt, unpaid debt, fees, taxes, that we don't at the county. They have a much better, stronger ability to track people out of state. There's a lot of tools they have we don't. And in this state, there's over 100 municipalities that use it. The UW system uses it, DPI uses it, and all of them have collected millions more because of it. And the nice thing about it is this isn't a new tax or a new fee. It's just making sure that people who owe taxes and fees pay them. Because when people who owe taxes and fees don't pay them, you know who does? You do. So, not something I had a big objection to. In any event, the legislation was changed, in a way that removed the mandate for the county to do that. Make no mistake, we will work very hard, and we have, and will continue with the treasurer and the clerk to participate as much as we can in a manner that the original legislation contemplated. But in the Department of Conservative Assumptions, I build a budget assuming zero increase. Again, I will work extremely hard to beat zero, but I built a budget that assumes that we have to come up with an additional $4 million, which makes me feel all the much better about, and I'll give you some details, but here's the headlines of this year's budget. For the 5th year in a row, it doesn't increase your property taxes. Every single year, we've worked closer and closer with departments with them on their budget to get to a place where we and the departments agree on a budget. This year, with the exception of the Sheriff's Department, and I'll come back to that in a second, every division and every department got everything they asked for. And a few years ago, we started essentially something like you could call it an innovation fund, where beyond their operating budget, we've always encouraged departments to think all the time about how could they do what they do more effectively, more efficiently, how could we be better? Look at every best practice all the time, whose ideas can we use? And where that requires an investment, make a business case to us, and if we like it, we'll fund it on top of your budget request. Because we started funding those a couple of years ago, departments got increasingly more excited about it, and they've gotten really good at giving us good business cases for, hey, here's a one-time investment, capacity building, infrastructure, new kind of equipment, new software, whatever it is, to help them do what they do better. This year, we got about $7 million of requests in that category, and we fund all of them. This year also, for the 5th year in a row, transit has no cuts in routes and no increase in fares. And just to put that in a little bit of perspective, in the 8 years prior to my being elected, every single year from 2003 to 2011, fares either went up or routes got cut or both. In the 5 years that I've been here, we've never cut routes. At the end of this year, as a matter of fact, we'll have over 1 million new route miles. We've never increased fares. In fact, we slightly lowered them for paratransit. And more, on top of that, we have, including in this year's budget, 30 new buses. It will be, over the last 5 years, 200 new, more efficient buses, which are a lot nicer to ride on, have better technology, and cost less because they use less fuel. Considering that this year we are getting less money still from the state for transit than we were 5 years ago, that's something I feel pretty good about. Some of the highlights that I feel excited about. The Behavioral Health Division, the last time I was here, I reported a little bit on the fact that we had changed state law to change the governance of the Behavioral Health Division. The need for change at BHD was not something that was a mystery to people. We'd been seeing reports about it for decades and decades prior. But politically, for whatever reason, it wasn't able to get done. we were able to get a vote in Madison, the same contentious Madison that Jim was referring to, that was 122-1 to change governance. So that's here in Wisconsin, big polarized Wisconsin. We had every single Republican in the state and every single Democrat except for one. And I like to think a big part of how we got that vote is we tried as hard as we could to keep it from being an issue about politics. Doing right by the people we serve at BHD is not a right or a left thing, it's a moral obligation. Being good stewards of public resources, that's not a right or a left thing, it's a moral obligation. Good news, in the first full year afterwards, after years of deficits every year at BHD, we had about a $10 million surplus. Good news, after years of increases in ER visits, they dropped by about 30%. So did involuntary detentions. So did admissions at the crisis, at the acute hospital. And more importantly, in spite of all that, 14% more people are being served. So we feel pretty good about that. Child support, I'm never going to get bored of talking about the fact that every single year for the last 4, they've set all-time records in the history of the department for how many people they're serving. And the reason I talk about this as a service and why it's important is the scale's bigger than most people think. We collect over $100 million in child support, over $100 million. And that's not tax dollars. Those are checks going to single parents bringing up kids. And as I always say, every time we add somebody to the list of who's getting a monthly check to help keep their kids at home, those kids are statistically a lot more likely to stay in school, to graduate, to get a job, to avoid brushes with the law and other parts of the criminal justice system. But adding to that list every year isn't all we've done. We're the only now still child support agency in the United States that has a Pathways to Responsible Fatherhood initiative. The idea there is, yes, the top priority is getting support to kids, but this program, which is new, has in the last year served thousands of men, and job training, license recovery, peer counseling on how to be engaged with your family. The idea is we're not satisfied with simply making sure the check gets there and accountability is enforced. We're making sure that every single touch point in child support and any department we run is about empowerment, not just so people can subsist, so they can be empowered and thrive. And what's great is we had a conference, a national conference about 2 months ago here at the convention center, and I got to introduce and talk a little bit about Jim Sullivan. The conference was the National Association of Child Support Agencies, because 4 years after I brought Jim in and he took over child support, we had the national conference here in Milwaukee because there is no agency in America on the meteoric rise that ours is right now. I wish that got as much press as the Milwaukee Lion did, because I like talking about when government can get things right, but we have a lot of things that are going right. The parks budget this year, we've been chipping away at deferred maintenance for a long time. The amount of capital projects that are committed to and funded in the pipeline, funded projects now is probably bigger than it's been in 10 years. We have a lot of funded projects and we're catching up. And if you've driven around, speaking of Johnson Park, that area of the city, and looked at Rose, Carver, Tiefenthaler, Moody, you'll see that city parks have so much work going on. I mean, it's kind of amazing. And that is something that was not happening before. And if you don't think that indirectly and directly has an impact on all the statistics we talk about crime, about investment, about community and value in community, and people wanting to start something, to start a business, to move into an area of town, to increase property values proximate to a well-maintained park, I'm here to tell you it has a very big impact. We have spent a fair amount of time improving our capacity to manage facilities. As you know, we've been moving out of outdated facilities. The county's got plenty. We moved out last year of City Campus, which would be that former hospital building up on 27th that none of our staff really liked working in. Good news for the staff, they're now in great offices much closer to downtown that they love working at, that are more convenient. Good news for taxpayers. It costs about $500,000 a year less. And because we don't own the building, we have one less source of facilities maintenance. We incur a lot of our debt at the county and have over the years by borrowing, and most of that borrowing is for capital maintenance. So the fewer facilities that we're maintaining every year that we don't need, the less need we have to incur debt, which means less debt service, which means I'm able 5 years in to say, hey, every department got what they requested, and we funded all the innovation requests. And one more thing, this budget allocates $7.6 million more in salaries than 2015. It's a 2.5% salary increase over the base of 2015. Healthcare costs, premiums, deductible, copay, coinsurance, all flat. And we added a significant tuition reimbursement, up to $2,500 per employee per year program, so people can take classes and get better at what they do, or maybe get qualified to do something better. That's the kind of comp structure I like, because the sort of employee who sees a big tuition reimbursement program and says, that's where I want to work, is the sort of employee we all want serving us in government. Beyond that, we added $1 million for equity adjustments and employee retention. Beyond that, we funded up, adjusting up the minimum salary for a bunch of ranges to improve our ability to be competitive in hiring. And this is particularly in correctional officers and highway workers. All of this is centered around one thing: our ability to attract and retain the best people we can get at the county. And for me, there's one other thing. We've spent a lot more time adding opportunities for employees to learn from one another, to learn about management, to learn how to set goals and manage to them, project management. We train managers on how to do position descriptions. We have a much more proactive HR than we ever have. And every time we have a new employee or orientation, I go down and I speak to the employees. And I've really love doing this, and I've spoken to an awful lot of employees. But the reason I do is, yeah, the salary's part of it, but we all know, especially Rotarians, not everything we put effort into is about what we're getting paid for to do it. A lot of it is about meaningful work. And I tell everybody, when I ran 5 years ago, about a year after Rob Henkin over there, sorry, I'm going to embarrass you. The Public Policy Forum had done a report on the fiscal condition at the county, the subtitle of which was "Should it stay or should it go?" And for those of you who recall, rather dire pictures of what the government and what county could look like right now if we didn't change anything. When I ran, obviously on the should it stay or should it go, I was pretty clear it should stay. That's not the question anyone's asking now. Right now, the question is just how far can we go? Because 5 years later, we've knocked off hundreds of millions off the debt. Our debt service is down. Our deficit is much smaller. We regularly have operating surpluses, and we have departments and divisions that are winning awards, setting all-time records, doing more, better, for less, and they take pride in what they do. And I make sure to not just hope that that's what we get in workers. I actively involve myself at every opportunity to say, hey, here's why I'm here. I'm here because I want to build the most efficient, empowering, nimble government in the country. I never thought for 10 seconds that that would be easy. I've never thought it was that I had all the answers or even close to all the answers. But I'm persistent. I believe in what I'm doing. And we have a big stack of accomplishments that nobody thought we'd be able to do behind us. And I've got a lot of people who are really proud of the work they do. And along those lines, about 4 or 5 months ago, we announced a new project to end chronic homelessness in Milwaukee, not just for vets, not just for any one subset, all chronic homelessness, end. And not just for one municipality, whole county, and not with shelters, but with permanent housing, not in 10 years, not in 5 years, in 3 years. And if that sounds like a lot, it is. I was told by Sam Sembaris, who's the grandfather of the Housing First movement. In '92, he started this. HUD nationally has adopted this model. But when he heard our approach was Housing First, completely ending functional zero chronic homelessness in Milwaukee, he came out, and as he told people, you pull this off, you will have done this faster than any metro in the United States. And here's the thing. I'm excited about the fact that, knock on wood, we're slightly ahead of schedule, because this is the right thing to do. I'm excited because I really do believe that government shouldn't leave anybody behind. Yeah, always focus on empower, but we don't leave anybody behind. But what I'm really excited about is we didn't commit to, say, reducing homelessness, chronic homelessness by 10% or 50%. We put a stake in the ground and said, for better, for worse, we're going to try and end it. And the reason I'm excited about that is, as I say every year when I'm here, if there's one thing sometimes we do in Milwaukee that doesn't help, we can be incredibly cynical about things. We can accept the inevitability of problems as intractable, and we sit and we complain and we point fingers and we wonder about who we should be angry at. But we also are incredibly hardworking, and when we get behind something, whether it's a music festival or the Packers or whatever, we can drive like nobody's business. And what I'm really excited about with homelessness is not just the impact we'll make for the people we're serving, but let's just say we actually pull this off. What question does that beg about the other issues we have in front of us? If we can say, hey, we actually ended this, what's next? So I'm pretty excited about it, but I will say this. 5 years ago, there is no way we would have been able to contemplate a whole lot of what I just talked to you about. And what I'm excited about in this budget isn't just what we're able to do in it with, again, no increase in your taxes. What I'm excited about is, unless the state throws us a giant curveball, and I think we've all learned I'm not going to rule that out. But barring that, and barring another big sudden giant charge, we can keep doing this. This can be the new normal for budgets, and that's something I'm really excited about. If I had to come up with one phrase that characterizes the leadership I'm really excited about at the county right now, I'd say it's the competitive part of it is the last best thing you did is the new minimum standard. And the answer is, what's next? And I have the strongest team I've ever had. We're more resourced than we've ever been. And I'm very, very excited about just how far the county can go. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. And somebody tell me if I've got too much time.
An MCM production.